It's in 4K, and they've got a Russian jet fighter that was operating in international space over the Black Sea and was dangerously intercepted by Russian military jets as close as 6 meters. The video that I've got at this point goes ahead and shows specifically, if you want to call it, the jet fighters and everything moving around really fast and going ahead and trying to, evade the things that are going on. But this just happened the same day they put out the video. So if they're recording these videos and they have all these encounters, they're giving us the worst, the blurriest, all the video that's out there that we can look at that leaves a lot of questions that people are going to look at it and say, what's up with that? It's grainy. You can't see it. You know what I mean, Dave?
Well, absolutely. And it reminds me of, trying to go to my grandma's house and having to adjust the rabbit ears.
Right.
It's amazing how military propaganda works, though, Thomas, because, when the U.S. is, say, in a conflict or a war with a different country, those propaganda videos of buildings blowing up, of cruise missiles flying by, of the jets firing their missiles, those are pretty darn clear. And yet when it comes to UFOs, we get very grainy type of action.
Yeah. So, look at this video I've got on my camera, Dave.
Yeah.
It's high resolution. It's an HD video. You can see and how does that go again? As Lou Elizondo would say, you can see the occupancy of the craft, meaning we've got videos that are this high definition where if you take it and you zoom in, you can see the actual pilot of the craft. And Lou's talked about this information, that's coming from that the government has. There's videos that are 30 minutes long, and he calls it an 8K video. We don't get to see this stuff, Dave. That's the problem.
What do you think the concern, Thomas, is of them showing grainy videos of dots rather than close encounters with real with real focus, with real class to the photo? I mean, this is something that the public wants. They don't want dots anymore. We're a little bit more mature than that.
It's true. It's really true, but some of the videos for the different things that have gone on, sometimes that's all they have. But they've always talked about all the different things have multi-sensors, if you want to call it, where they have more than just their FLIR camera. They have regular cameras and other stuff that goes along with it. We're missing the visual evidence besides the FLIR videos, which are the black and white ones, but we're missing the regular high definition cameras. We're missing all the RF stuff that they're looking at from all these signals that are coming in as they're watching it. So we're getting like a really small, thin piece of what we could actually take in to understand this.
I get that, and I can appreciate that. But, in some of the people that I've talked to behind the scenes who've worked on special access projects or SAPs, they're wondering whether or not the reason why we're getting the videos that we are is because they don't want it perceived on what is a UFO and what is actually our technology.
Yeah, I guess so. We just have to look at it from the situation. I think they just don't want to go ahead and admit that there's something here that's been going on for a long time. The federal government has spent trillions of dollars to go ahead and cover it up. I mean, if there was nothing there, all these FOIA requests and different information would be coming across wouldn't be all blacked out. It wouldn't be all redacted, but it is because they don't want this to come out. And the magic word is national security, folks. Hold on. If you hear the word, take a sip and enjoy. But the reality is anything that goes on that they see, they don't want potentially our adversaries to be, what is the term again? Inspired, at least, by anything that we're going to go and share. But the reality is this isn't just happening in the United States. This is a global issue. Everybody is seeing this, but the reality of it is the people that they're really covering it up from, Dave, is me and you and all of our viewers.
And that's the big point. And that's the why now question, because this is one question that I don't think anybody has been able to answer properly. And you and I have discussed this years ago, but I think it's still valid. It's the why now question. You know, I mean, I'm not ready to give Tom DeLonge and his two that failed to the Stars Academy credit for trying to bring this out. But since then, in 2017, and then follow that up with the New York Times article that, portrayed the 3 videos and, of course, blew up the 2004 USS Nimitz incident, we have not been told why all of a sudden is this a prioritized subject. Are they coming? Is this aiming for a false flag? What do you think is going on?
Do we have an agreement with the non-human intelligence that was potentially made back in the 50s where we give them something and we get something out of it? Of course, there's always a two-way deal going into this. And by a certain time, we had to go ahead and bring forward the truth for whatever's going on. But, we're talking about governments who don't listen and don't care about listening. Maybe we've gone beyond a date that we're aware of, and we're trying to catch up for what's going on. That would be my thought.
That opens up the question then, because you're talking about the Eisenhower incident, which allegedly happened in 53, 54,
Right.
trading humans for technology.
Yeah.
That opens up the question then, what is to you disclosure?
It started at this point. It's the government acknowledging of what's going on in the skies, in space, what's been going on under our oceans, what's going on over our military bases, and more importantly, that I am concerned about, what is going over the non-military bases, the homeland and everything that's out there, whether it's the homeland of Canada, United States. What are they doing to us is the concern.
Okay. My definition of disclosure is I want everything. I want it all.
We're not going to get it, though.
I know that. But in Dave's world, if Dave actually had some pull in this, and when I talk like in third person, it makes me sound so much more eloquent, right? But in Dave's world, Thomas, I want to know whether or not Eisenhower made a deal.
Yeah.
I want to know about Roswell. I want to know about
that.
I don't think we're going to know about Roswell.
Anything that they're going to take and they've used for a weapon, or they've used for stuff for national defense, or they may be taking and using it and trying to figure out for the Department of Energy because there's military applications for that stuff, we're never going to hear about.
So let me hit you up with this one then. You talk to a lot of people behind the scenes. You're pretty well connected. Is Roswell on the plan to come out?
I have not heard, but I'll ask about that.
Because I think there are certain cases that cannot come out.
Why?
Example, Eisenhower trading humans for technology.
Yeah.
I don't, you open up Roswell, you're going to open up the whole can of worms to the crash retrieval programs. Even though it's out there, but how many bodies, how many alive aliens were found?
What about Cash Landrum, where there's 2 documented people who were exposed to the radiation from a potentially, it was like what was it? A pyramid on top of a pyramid, if you want to call it craft. And allegedly this happened down in Texas, where they had the craft and they had actually hooked it up to a dirty nuclear reactor, and it had a couple Chinook helicopters going along with it, and it went off course where it was supposed to go, and people got exposed to heavy doses of radiation from it, and they died. What about that kind of scenario of the people who have been exposed to the different things that's been going on and they're no longer with us?
I also wonder about a lot of the programs like NASA. Like if you go back to the release a couple weeks ago, where for years Buzz Aldrin had really denied that anything happened. Yep. And now we're learning that one of America's truest heroes was lying to us.
Yeah.